defensive backs, and then he saw Stephon Gilmore play for 5 years in Buffalo. So he knew exactly what he was going to be paying for. He wasn't going to be surprised. He saw him play, and I think that's a reason why he paid Gilmore. I think he paid Hightower because I don't think he wanted to see him go to the Jets. So
now here's something. If you notice, during our the Patriots, I want to. Everything's relative when it comes to the Patriots because the past 20 years have been unprecedented. But that 10-year drought of no Super Bowls, what was the Achilles heel on that team? The secondary. After Asante Samuel went, but between Asante Samuel and Aqib Talib, that 5-6 year stretch, we were one of the worst secondaries in the league. So
Absolutely.
I think that Belichick has really kind of shifted his focus. But since Richard Seymour, he's even more of an interior lineman. Name a stud outside rusher the Patriots have had other than maybe Chandler Jones, who we shipped out. Everyone else, we had Mark Anderson and Andre Carter getting double-digit sacks 1 year, but I think in this era, are Chandler Jones, Andre Carter, and Mark Anderson the only double-digit sack guys we've had? Ninkovich was 8 a year, but that was it.
You could cash Ninkovich in for 8 a year, but again, I think that's part of the system he likes. He likes funnel the run inside. I'd rather have someone that could contain on the outside rather than fly up and rush the passer. Sure, you could have a guy like who can get 18 sacks a year. Like, they now have a position called edge or pass rusher. That's not your position's not pass rusher, man. Like that's so you either play outside linebacker or you're a defensive end, and you have multiple jobs. Just besides rushing the passer. So he would rather have the guy who could be solid in the run game, even if that sacrifices rushing the passer.
No, that's definitely Belichick's MO.
Mm-hmm. And you're spot on. We don't go for the guys that put up the numbers, and I think Chandler Jones, he is spectacular. I think he was able to both set the edge very well and be able to get to the passer. He was very, very talented, and now he's making a lot of money and still getting a lot of sacks, though. But I've heard rumors, and I think it was Rappaport, we'll give credit to him. He said there's a chance of a tag and trade when it comes to Joe Thuney. I don't know if you've heard any reports on that or what you might think about that.
Can you repeat that? Trading Thuney?
Yeah, there are reports that it would be a tag and then trade for Joe Thuney.
I saw a statement saying that we're looking to sign him to a long-term deal.
Really?
Yeah.
So that brings up my next question for you, and we can get into him a little bit now, so you tagged Thuney, you brought back Slater, you brought back McCourty. Money's not growing in trees in New England, and they like their bargain discounts. Rumor has it that the Patriots offered Tom Brady a 1-year contract worth less than what he was making last year. And then, where's the money for Brady? What can we do? I don't think it's there right now. Is that making you nervous?
So Bill Belichick has famously said cap space can be maneuvered in multitude of ways. I am not the NFL salary cap savant that I am with the NBA salary cap. So I am not an expert into how many ways we can defer money, restructure this and that, and so on and so forth. I don't have that firm of a grasp to look into all 53 guys and see what's going to happen. But again, I think we have the best in the history of the league, Bill Belichick, where if he wants Tom Brady, he will find a way. Again,
does he want Tom Brady?
Not worried about that whatsoever. It's more about, does Belichick want to keep him? And I saw a report that says Belichick is the one leading negotiations instead of Kraft. So it all comes down to Belichick. But I'm not worried about the money itself.
So, okay, does Belichick want Tom Brady?
I think it's the same answer that you could say with Bill Belichick about any player. It's at what price? Again, would Bill Belichick have kept Chandler Jones if he wanted $12 million a year? Probably. But if he wants $17 million a year, no. Does Bill Belichick want Tom Brady, again, let's say 1 or 2 year deal that's partially guaranteed for a second or third year at 18, 19 million, 20 million, however much a year? Probably. Does he want to pay him a 2-year, $60 million deal fully guaranteed with a no-trade clause? No, probably not. Again, Belichick, he's not us. And I try to take a very cerebral approach to sports. I don't get emotionally attached to players that easy. Brady's the one. I know you do, but Brady is the only guy, honestly, even throughout all my sports. Baseball, I'm a Sox fan. David Ortiz, obviously, huge place in my heart. Yeah. And he was great until the very end. But if you told me we could have traded Ortiz for a bunch of good prospects, whatever, back in the day, or same thing with Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, that's the guys who got me into basketball. We got 3 first-round picks from the Nets that ended up becoming Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and eventually, even though he sucked, Kyrie Irving. So, again, it's the same thing. You got to evaluate everything. If somehow Joe Burrow wants to force his way to New England or whatever, for whatever reason, then, you have to kind of make that decision.
And that's a good point, too. I don't think I could talk about Brady unbiasedly. I think players emotionally I'm attached to Brady, obviously, Edelman, obviously, and Danny Amendola. I'll always love Amendola. I'll always love Danny Amendola. But, so you do mention about how you can shift around cap space, and I understand that. But you're right, exactly. It comes down to Belichick is a bargain shopper. Does he find Brady for the right value? I did watch some videos and some clips of Brady because everyone says, his arm still looks great. He still throws with great power and accuracy, and I'm trying to figure out, okay, what was the difference this year? And sure, you can talk about how the offensive line and you had receivers not getting open and this and that, and N'Keal Harry didn't play for the first 8 games of the season. He was playing with the rookies like Jacoby Myers, and Philip Dorsett wasn't the same, blah, 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 blah. So I think if you try and place blame on Brady, what blame can he take? So one thing that sticks out to me is that he doesn't want to get hit. And I understand that he doesn't want to because he's 42 going on 43. But there is a throw that really stood out to me that I think Brady of past would have gotten rocked to make this throw. The game, the Patriots versus the Chiefs, one that was, sure, it was robbed by the referees, but it still came down to a throw from Brady to his guy, Julian Edelman. The Chiefs came with a blitz. They came everyone after Brady, and he didn't hang in the pocket. Instead of hanging in and then rocketing one to Edelman on a line that probably, I forget who the defensive back was on the Chiefs who ended up breaking it up. But if Brady stood in there and then threw it on a line, he could have had Edelman. Instead, he had to basically almost throw Edelman open on more of a touch pass on what was an out route, and the defensive back was able to come in, reach it, and break it up. And that, to me, I'm like, man, hang in there. But, he's 42 going on 43. I can't blame him. I would say bailing out, and you look at what he did in 2018 with the Steelers on that throwaway where he couldn't reach out of bounds because he just wanted to throw it away. I think that's the issue. And you can't really fault him, or I guess you can because that's what we're doing, not hanging in the pocket and bailing.
No, again, but 42 years old, I'm always going to err on the side of live to fight another down. I would rather have an incomplete pass than have Brady knocked out because I don't care how much pliability exercises, how much concussion water, how much Guerrero voodoo you have. 42, now going to be 43 years old. You just know. I just live to see another play.
With the game on the line.
Again, at that time, that game wasn't necessarily life or death. I think it would have been interesting to see higher stakes and everything. I think the worst part of the Patriots season, to be honest, this past year, and I was saying, I told you this all year, was the schedule. And it was the fact that we had 10 literal Pee-wee football teams that we played up until that game against Baltimore.
You did. You called it.
And then, it was. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
No, it was a 10-week preseason and then a gauntlet. Whereas I think if you had those games sprinkled in to truly make actual adjustments throughout the year and practice against lower levels of competition rather than go and you have Baltimore and Kansas City and even Dallas and Philly aren't bad teams. They're on the road. for a few of those games.
Barely won against Philly.
Yeah, and same with Dallas. Who else did we play towards the end? We lost to Miami, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, this was earlier on.
Houston. You lost in Houston.
Yep. And what would the Cleveland game have been if the Browns didn't turn the ball over 3 straight plays?
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. If your guy Baker, who you claim is better than Kirk Cousins, I don't see it, but if your guy Baker wasn't baking up those turnovers all game, exactly. Who knows?
So we talked about Slater, we talked about McCourty, we talked about Tooney and Brady. So the Patriots have just brought back guys. I don't see room for bringing in new guys to help and getting Brady. You say, okay, sure. Let's say that the cap space, not an issue because you can shift it around. My feeling, and I heard this a couple of weeks ago on a radio show, probably something on WEI, they were mentioning how to make room for Brady, they might have to do some kind of restructuring with Dante Hightower because his contract is pretty monstrous. But let's say the cap, all the money works out fine. You bring back Brady, you brought back Slater, you brought back McCourty, you brought back Tooney. That's the same team as last year. Who are you going to add that's going to make the difference, that's not going to lose or not going to be able to surpass 13 points in a wild card round against the Tennessee Titans?
You have to bet on hitting in the draft. We have a lot of compensatory picks. You have to hope that, and I'm not saying that you're going to, especially the skill position, we have N'Keal Harry. He needs to develop. That's a non-starter. But finding someone to play the Malcolm Mitchell role, someone to be able to catch 40, 50 balls for 500 yards and someone that Brady can trust. Try to find that guy in the 4th round. There's always guys you can find in free agency to come in and catch a few passes in a big moment. Again, I mean, I know, like, and now, like I said, I'm not someone who, I don't play fantasy football. I'm not someone who salivates over big names. But DeAndre Hopkins for David Johnson and a second.
Did Bill O'Brien not watch the tape on David Johnson? I mean, that's ridiculous. How do you do that?
He's a 28-year-old injury-prone running back who hasn't been good in 4 years, and he's making, what, $11 million, $13 million, however much he's making?
Unbelievable.
And we gave up a second-round pick for Mohamed Sanu? Are you freaking kidding me?
And the 49ers were able to get Emmanuel Sanders. So,
yeah, but honestly, we need to find our Deebo Samuel. That is who I would love. I love that kind of receiver. That's who the Pats need. Someone like that.
I agree, and I always try and make comparison to Patriot teams in years past. 2014, you just needed a Brandon LaFell type role. In 2016, you just needed the Chris Hogan who could just run right up the slot. So that's really all you need. Sure, N'Keal Harry, we could hope that he can develop. And I think you're right in respect to the rookies who could fill in. My hope really is for N'Keal Harry because with rookies trying to, sure, you had Malcolm Mitchell, okay? But besides that, there's not many rookies can really succeed in the system, and something that the Patriots didn't have. I actually wrote a little bit about this too. So a play that they love to do is they love to split everyone out wide. Bill O'Brien calls this one Hoss wide juke. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the play. Basically, you have the 2 outside guys in the empty formation running hitch routes. You have the inside guys running right up the seam, and then you have Edelman or Bill O'Brien when he was there, Hernandez or Welker, basically your shiftiest guy in the slot, basically running a 3-way option of either cutting over the middle, running an out route, or sitting down in the zone. And I think, sure, you had Edelman who still was able to move around inside the middle of the field, but you could take that away because we had no threat of someone running down the seam. It was Rob Gronkowski for the better part of a decade. It was Chris Hogan filling in. It was Brandon Cooks filling in. It was Martellus Bennett filling in, being able to run that seam route so you can't clamp down on Edelman. And then the seam route, great, you pick up 30 yards on a chunk. We can't throw a 30-yard ball because there's no legitimate threat 30 yards down the field, so we have to throw to Edelman 6 yards. We have to throw to White for 4. We have to throw to Edelman again for 3. We have to do a trick